A week after Prime Minister Boris Johnson said humanity is reaching a turning point on climate change, there's been a warning that people's anxiety levels over the issue is reaching an all-time high. Could scaring people too much end up preventing them from taking action? How do we find that balance? How should we deal with climate anxiety? Alice?
Well, the way we talk about climate is something I'm very preoccupied with. How do we tell this story and how do we make people feel powerful and not powerless? I'm not sure I have the answer, but should we be concerned about eco-anxiety? 100%. And I would say that feeling anxiety in the face of headlines like, the IPCC's red code for humanity, scientists telling us untold suffering is coming down the line if we don't take action. These are entirely rational responses to the information that we are learning. I'm hearing about the rise of climate cafes across the UK, sort of workshop therapy sessions for young people. And I can't help but think about, not so long ago, young people, when they thought about the future, it was a future of flying cars. And now it's one that is very dystopian. But we have to talk not only about the sacrifice and not only about the dystopia, but also about the opportunities that we have to build a better and fairer and greener world.
As you mentioned there, Alice, young people certainly are the demographic that are going to have to deal with climate change for longer and the demographic that are more concerned about it. 56% of young people, according to a recent poll, think humanity is doomed. David, how would you reassure them?
I think the opportunities are there to make sure the future is much more comfortable and much more attractive than the one they imagine reading the climate science headlines. That's because dramatic change is quite possible. It's not because the climate science is, being presented in a too scary manner. That is what the science says. If we don't change course, if we don't take action, the world will not resemble the one that our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents lived in. What we would have to do to live comfortably in that world is far beyond our imaginations, and we have to take seriously just how urgent the crisis is if we hope to respond to it. For those who worry about climate anxiety, I think it is real for people who are preoccupied with the subject, but I also think it is a motivator. I think if we look at the last few years, after the IPCC's 1.5 degree report, we saw the rise of Greta Thunberg and the school strikers. We saw the rise of Extinction Rebellion in the US. We saw the rise of Sunrise. And all of global climate geopolitics has changed in the aftermath of those protest movements, which were motivated by fear. They also offered positive visions of the future. I think those are important too. But they were driven primarily by anxiety. I think we should respond to how scary the science is by mobilizing, not by collapsing into despair. But I think we have to take seriously just how urgent the science says the matter really is.
And Alice, where would you strike the balance, just briefly before we let you go? The chair of the Climate Change Committee said if you scare the public, you don't get people to act. Do you believe that's true?
I think that, as David says, it's a motivating factor. For me, action is the antidote to anxiety. So, many of us may act from fear. It is not so productive to act from a place of fear. So how can you transform that emotion into something productive? Be an activist, whatever that means to you. It doesn't necessarily mean standing out on the street in protest. It means different things to all of us, but find what you're good at, find what you can contribute to the movement and play your part.